AI, artificial intelligence, is literally going to change the world like the computer did. That saves you about 3 to 5 years of your life. There are those who move with the change, and there are those who get crushed and left behind.
Africa is very religious. Are prophets going to use AI to do prophecy?
From what I've seen with how some pastors are using artificial intelligence, I'm going to make a lot of people lose their faith. We need a unified African platform for artificial intelligence.
Imagine a farmer in Kenya not guessing about planting. They can just look at an app on their phone, and then they can just know exactly when they're going to plant and have confidence in their plan. Or imagine a shop owner in a market in Africa having to answer customers 24/7 without a need for another shop helper. Or even, you can imagine a student in Cameroon or Liberia having to do their end-of-year project in a matter of hours instead of taking weeks. This is not the future. This is happening right now and is powered by AI. Joining us today is someone who doesn't just talk technology, he builds it. He is the CEO of Zuix and one of Africa's leading ethical hackers. But today, we are not going to be hacking systems. We are going to be talking about artificial intelligence and how it's shaping Africa. So please stay with us and we'll be right back.
Africa, hey, 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 Africa, hey.
Mr. Zoe Bruno, thank you so much for joining us today and accepting the invite to share your experience, to share your knowledge with our audience.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure, actually.
Thank you. And before we get started, I know we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence today, but I wanted you also to talk to us about your product, your company, Zuix.
Yeah, so actually Zuix is a very interesting story. Just before I get into the nitty-gritty of it, I'm tempted to tell you how we came up with that name Zuix. It looks crazy. So the first 3 letters of the company, ZUO, is actually my name, Zo.
Yeah.
And the I stands for information, and the X is a funny way of writing security, because my younger sister at the time when I was creating the company, I used to call my father an ex-security guard instead of a security guard. My father was a security guard with the Cameroon Development Corporation, and so that's how
nice.
the name that's how the name came about. So
You know, when I look at that name, I didn't think about the I as information and also that as security. I was thinking like maybe I thought the first 3 letters were your last name, but I was like maybe it's your daughter's or your son or somebody that you just decided to name it that way. I didn't actually think of it that way.
Yeah, so she was calling my dad an ex-security guard instead of a security guard, and so it stands for Zo's Information Security. So Zuix was created to be an information security company that pivoted into offensive security. And what that definitely means is we secure companies by first attacking them, and of course ethically, and then proving to them that they are vulnerable, presenting them with a vulnerability report, a detailed vulnerability report. And these companies then decide if they want to keep us to protect those vulnerabilities, or if they want to say, hey, thank you, take a handshake and never want to see you again. So this is the plight of offensive security, and we've been doing that since 2017. So Zuix was registered in March 2017 in a small city of Cameroon called Limbe. It's a very beautiful coastal city, and that's where Zuix was born, and has grown from that city to 14 different African countries, and right now pivoting to the United States after we've expanded to places like South Africa. And so, yeah, that's a neat, nice story of how Zuix came about. It's not been an easy road, but I know that as we go further in the discussion, more and more of this will come to light.
Wow, thank you very much for that. That's a huge success story, right? It started from a small city and now it's going across Africa. I also saw that you have offices in Johannesburg, South Africa. That's really good.
Yeah, in 2019, Zoix moved part of its operations to Sandton, Johannesburg, South Africa, and has been there till today.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I don't know about people feel about. I mean, I know how it goes, but I don't know how people feel back home in Africa for you to come and pen test their companies and tell them, hey, if a hacker comes today, they can just pass and walk in through your doors. How do they welcome that news when you give it back to them? Before we go to
It,
artificial intelligence here.
it's never easy. It's never easy to go to a company and say, hey, this is what happened, or this is how vulnerable you are. In Africa, when we started, it was considered an invasion of privacy. I know companies, I remember companies that looked at me and literally just told me, if you just want the money, just let us know. You don't need to come. You don't need to come and tell us. So it's been a roller coaster trying to not only perform offensive security, but also educate companies that this is not a crime. This is actually good news for you, because in the field of cybersecurity, it is better to know your vulnerability and your weaknesses than
so that you can manage them.
Exactly, than not know them when they are actually there and someone discovers them before for you. So it is. My company prides itself in the fact that it's a proactive cybersecurity endeavor, but it took us a long time to get to the position where companies will actually welcome us. We were not welcome in many of those company doors when we started.
Yeah, I think it's something that requires a lot of trust. You know, they need to trust you before they can allow you to do that, because at the end of the day, if you are just a random guy in the street, they don't know. When you come pen test my company and see all these loopholes, are you going to go sell this information to people who can then come in and exploit us, or are you going to really show us and we trust that you're going to help us fix it? You know, right. So I think that was important. But thank you very much for sharing that story. Maybe apart from artificial intelligence, maybe you can come back one day and we can talk about Zoix really, and we can focus on that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go back to artificial intelligence here. So you have a really good social media presence, and I was thinking about it today, and I was like, if somebody, a kid or somebody that is following you in social media, sees you walking down the street of Johannesburg or Limbe, where your company was founded, and this guy runs to you and say, big bro, I've been seeing you posting about this thing called artificial intelligence, but I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really understand. What is this thing about? How will you be able to explain this to him in a way that makes sense for him?
Yes, this is a very important question, because a lot of people who are hearing the word artificial intelligence, who are seeing people make use of artificial intelligence, don't really know what it is. And by the way, before I even answer that question, I will say AI, artificial intelligence, is literally going to change the world like the computer did. Okay, so people are lagging behind, and my answer might sound crazy, but this is the best way to answer the question that you have posed to me. Mm-hmm. Number one, people did not get to understand what machine learning was. People didn't really find out what is machine learning, or what is all this stuff, because artificial intelligence is actually a birth child of machine learning. So the best way I'll explain this is, we as humans, we as programmers, we came out with a scientific method of thinking, and we discovered that rather than give many if commands, like if the username is this, then you can do this. But if the username is not this, then you can also do that. So instead of doing that, we created a system where machines, that is computers, can predict an outcome. They can look at what you're trying to do, and without having those if statements, they can predict what will be the likelihood of the outcome. And they do this with what is known as training. So we feed them images, we feed them books, we feed them videos. And when you now come and say, I'm trying to write a book about weather, the machine goes and look at everything it has been taught or trained about weather and tries to predict the right outcome for you. This is in the base level what artificial intelligence is all about. So it's just a smart computer, it's just a smart machine that is able to look at what you give it and predict the best possible outcome to its ability. So, for example,
and maybe humans can do that too, right? But the thing is that if you go to a library to compare how many books, I mean, for you to be able to compare and make that determination, it takes you like a long time to be able to bring those facts together. And even, but this is the intelligence of the computer, how it can do it as fast as, I mean,
as possible.
it's not even
Absolutely.
close. Yeah.
And the thing is, this artificial intelligence will never forget that information because it has been trained on. It will also learn from how you ask those questions. So your interaction with an AI makes the AI smarter and makes you, and this is a good thing, this is where it gets a little bit crazy, makes you a little bit dumber. So you basically transferring your knowledge and you're making the AI as a general unit smarter, and you are not getting as smart as you're supposed to get. But that is not really like a bad thing per se, because you are saving a lot of time. Take, for example, if you want to create a website using artificial intelligence, if there was no AI, you had to go learn at a minimum of 4 programming language or scripting language. You needed to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a little bit of PHP or Python, those little things. Yeah. But now you can literally whip up an AI without knowing any of these things, and you say, hey, I want you to build me this, and you just have to describe it, and AI goes and write the programs, do all those heavy lifting for you, and that saves you, believe me, that saves you about 3 to 5 years of your life. Because learning HTML will take you about 6 months. Learning CSS will take you about 3 months. Learning JavaScript will take you about 1 year. Learning PHP will take you about 1 year plus.
Wow.
So by just sitting, you have saved yourself a huge amount of time. And that is why we are wondering if AI is going to make us live longer. We're wondering because, so even if you live up to 30 years or 32 like Jesus did, you could potentially, with the use of artificial intelligence, achieve more in that lifetime than someone who lived without artificial intelligence.
It's crazy how fast this thing is exploding around the world. It's crazy, and Africa really needs to take advantage of this. And this leads me to go to the next thing that I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to go to an area which is really essential to Africans and to an African life, right? A lot of us, or majority of us Africans, and especially our audience and us, everyone listening here, we grew up with either the resources that came from agriculture, right?
Yeah.
The agriculture is the majority employer in Africa still, even though we are still suffering from food shortages. But agriculture is the majority employer. But I remember when I was growing up with my grandma, we used to go, and when it's planting season used to be sometime between March, ending early March and end of March. And my grandma would used to say, we are going to plant on the 15th of March. In their head, the 15th of March was that week that the first rain was going to fall, right?
Correct.
But then sometimes the rain falls comes early, say in late February, or it comes early March. But when it comes early in September, in February, people go and plant. And then all of a sudden there is about 1 month without any rain.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, it caused the seeds to die because of too much heat. And then now they have to replant again. So I'm looking at this and asking, like, for someone like my grandma in the village right now and other people who are in rural areas, how can AI really enhance agriculture in Africa in order for them to be able to know when to plant, in order for them to be able to predict, look at their crops or take a picture or look at their crops and be able to predict what type of disease is about to affect this crop, predict what type of insecticide or pesticide that they can use in order to protect those crops, and even be able to think about their yields, right? The output of their products, and even a potential sales and potential profit that they could make in order to sponsor their kids to school. Because as I said, most of us grew up with sponsored to school with all that money that's coming from agriculture. And when the yields are not good, it basically means it's a different way. Parents are going to suffer to get money to train their kids in school.
Yes, you're quite right about that. And artificial intelligence is sitting on a particular level on this that I think can help a lot of us in Africa. We have 1.4 billion people on the continent. We have to feed these people. Okay, and the population is only going to grow. We have the youngest population in the world on that continent. We're talking about the people who eat the most. If we say the youngest population, that translates automatically to the people who eat the most. And so that brings up the issue of feeding them, and not only feeding the African continent, but also exporting what we produce. And how is artificial intelligence doing this? Well, what I want to say might blow your mind, because there's a young lady who was doing her thesis, her master's, I think her BSc in cybersecurity and technology, and she was sent to my company for internship, to do her internship. When she came to my company, I was like, okay, what problem are you looking at? And she said, agriculture, straight up. I said, okay, we're going to build a series of AI tools to try to solve this problem. And we started building it. And this is what we put into place. Number one, we discovered that weather forecast needs artificial intelligence. Now, let me explain this. We had weather forecast before AI. We could predict the weather before AI. We had satellites up there that could tell us if it's going to rain or if it's not going to rain. So what we did was we did microclimating. So the AI was able to look at the weather forecast for Limbe and says, okay, it's going to rain in Limbe, but your piece of land, that farmland you have, is not going to get that rain. Because weather forecast says there's going to be rain in Limbe, right? But if you've been to Limbe or many other cities, you could see people down there having rain, especially in tropical Africa. You could literally open your door and see your neighbor having rain, and you have nothing. So we built an AI that was able to do that. Secondly, the AI was able to determine if that rain is acidic. Now, you need to understand this happens a lot in the tropical areas. I'll give you a good example. In Cameroon, we have what we say, that rain don't spoil my cocodem. So the rain fell, but because the raindrops were acidic, the cocoyam leaves got destroyed. It instead was not good for the cocoyams.
Yeah.
So the AI we built was able to look at the rain and say, hey, this is not a good time. This is not a good type of rain. And it's able to say, okay, this rain is going to fall. The next one is going to come in 2 weeks. I don't think you should plant your cassava now, because if you plant your cassava now, yes, they're going to get that first rain, but they're going to dry off in 2 weeks because they need consistent rain to grow depending on the crops. And the AI was able to use all of this thinking to, guess what? Tell you what to plant on the field. Your plots and your weather condition and the orientation of your plot and the way sun hits the ground, this is a good plot for cassava and not granules. The AI was
how is that program doing? How is that particular application doing right now? Is it widely applied? Farmers using it a lot, or?
So farmers are not yet using it because she built it as a university project, and I think I will link both you and her. So that she can tell you exactly where she is. I think she's at the point where she wants to go to the market right now. And the interface for this, which is a sweet one.
We would like to tell that story. It's an important story to send out there.
Absolutely. The interface for this is not a web application. So we built it, but it's not on the web. So you can have a website, but that is not the interface for it. The interface is the SMS is the system is able to SMS the farmers. So, for example, if today is a good day to plant, you don't need to go press a button and ask, is today a good day to plant? No, the system will automatically SMS you and say, today is a perfect time to plant. It will SMS you and say, this year, between this month and that month, you should plant this on that farm. It will do
is that not even amazing? The fact that you think about SMS, because there are some farmers in rural areas that don't have smartphones, but they have these small phones that they can receive SMS, but they cannot look at a smartphone. They can probably not be able to use a smartphone good because they are not that educated, right? They are not used to smartphones. Let's call it that way.
Absolutely.
Except they have someone beside them.
The thing is, featured phones have penetrated the African continent, and if we're really being realistic about the farmers are mostly people who accept or who have accepted feature phone as the way to go. They don't want to log on an app and there's no internet. They have 2Gs, so who's going to be dealing with 2Gs? So the best way to reach these people is like, hey, there's a text message, they read it immediately. It's going to not rain today, so we suggest that you go and spray your farm today and not tomorrow. All those information is now being automatically done by artificial intelligence. I was in Addis Ababa. I was invited to Addis Ababa to be shown what Addis Ababa or Ethiopia is using in artificial intelligence. I will send you a video of that, the segment that talk about agriculture. Ethiopia has implemented artificial intelligence as a national thing for farming, for agriculture.
I actually saw that report where it's predicting. Was it Ethiopia or Kenya? I think it's maybe they are predicting the weather. They are predicting the outcome of diseases, the outcome of drought, and all that.
Yes, absolutely. And they are using artificial intelligence in that way. I was there in their Museum of Science, and my mind was blown because as we go further, you're going to discover something. AI needs two things. So this is a problem with many African countries. We want to jump on a new technology without asking the question, what does this technology require to work? Okay, so what is this thing and what does it need? AI needs two important things. Number one, AI needs a lot of electricity power, a lot of power. Okay, AI drains power like nothing. Number two, AI require a lot of internet bandwidth. We're talking about internet speed. We're talking about 4G, 5G. Anything below that the AI is going to struggle. Okay, so you can have your 3G, the AI is going to struggle.
Okay, that's really good. I also wanted us to talk about another area or another sector in Africa, which I also think is a very, very important necessity, or is a very, very important necessity for us to talk about, and it's healthcare, right? When you look at healthcare in Africa, and the reason why you hear me talk about rural areas is because I grew up in a rural area, right? And when access to healthcare in rural Africa is a big problem. In fact, Africa at large, there is a huge shortage of doctors, not only in Africa, even in the Western world, right? So when you go to Africa and you look at the rural area, like where I grew up, we have a health center that basically doesn't have a doctor. It almost had only one trained nurse. I mean, like a nurse that is trained and is licensed. The other people that are there are like nursing assistants, and they're doing their job. They are working their socks off to do their good job and to be able to help people, right? But then when you have, for example, someone comes in and is in a critical condition, and you know the routes from that particular hospital, from that particular health unit to a good hospital in the city or in the town, it's something that for you to navigate when someone is sick, it's hard, right? So when someone comes in at night and is really sick, maybe the nurse doesn't even, or the nursing assistant doesn't even know how to look at and diagnose the person, and maybe even give some drugs that can even cool down the sickness or bring down the symptoms before they can be looking at, do you need to be transferred to a bigger hospital where you can see a doctor or all that. So are we in the place where AI can be able to help these rural areas when it comes to healthcare? Can we see an AI doctor?
Yes. And not just see an AI doctor. I've seen one of the best doctors in the world, and it's AI. Okay. So before I go any further, I would like to tell you this. Artificial intelligence just helped a company recently and has been approved by the FDA as of last week to start human trials. AI looked at the gene, at the DNA of humans, and said, I know why you are getting old and dying. And he pointed out the gene. Yeah, I'm going to send that. I'm going to send that video to you on your WhatsApp so that you can add it if you want to. Wow. AI looked at the gene of humans and said, I figured out why you are getting old and why you die because of that.
So you're saying
the,
we may not die in the future. Is that what you're
yes,
saying?
yes. So the FDA just approved the human trials for this drug. This drug does not stop aging. All right, I want you to listen to this clearly. It's not a drug to stop aging. It's not a drug to solve specific issues. It's a drug that reverses aging. Now, listen to that. It's not stop, it reverses it. So imagine you are 40, 50, 60, 70, and you want your organs and your body to go back to when you were like 30. It's now possible. And that happened not because we had the best doctors in the world. It happened because those doctors fed all their research, all their knowledge into an artificial intelligence. And he looked at their knowledge and said, hey, I figured out what you missed. All this research you've been doing all of the time, all from ancient times, all these things you've been trying to solve, malaria, typhoid, I've seen the mistake. It was in your gene, and I can reverse that for you. Now, coming to our rural areas, I just wanted to prove to you how powerful this thing is.
Yeah.
You have mentioned, I grew up in G4. If those of you who don't know, G4 is in the northwest region of Cameroon, somewhere around Ndu. It's very far off. Before, even getting to a phone, we had to drive to Banso. My father had to take a car and drive all the way to Banso to make a phone call. All right? You can imagine.
Some people used to climb on the hills to get network,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
Get a signal
now
to make a call, you know?
Exactly. Imagine if you get sick, like you're honestly sick, you're really sick, and like you mentioned, you go to a clinic and there's just one trained nurse. Sometimes that nurse is overwhelmed with the amount of people coming in, and yes, she's human or he is human, and he get tired, you know. So maybe he has dealt with 5 or 6 or 10 cases that day, and you are at a level. The person is tired. You can't blame them. They're human. Now, how does AI help? AI has been able to, people have used AI for symptom checker, okay? You can literally whip out any artificial intelligence right now and you say, these are my symptoms, okay? Which is what every doctor do. It's known as consultation. What is paining you? My waist. When did it start? Yeah, AI is able to ask all of that and then tell you, hey, I think I know exactly what is wrong with you. You have this particular problem. I'm not a doctor. Of course, AI has been trained to say they are not doctors, but based on the research it has done or the training it has received, it's able to point out to the precise problem you're suffering and point out the drugs that will help you solve that problem. Now, getting to the drugs is another thing, but absolutely, I have seen even professional doctors use AI in their line of work. So yes, we are not only going to get healthier, we're also going to get solutions faster, because how long does it take for an AI to diagnose you? Approximately, you're using your voice, it's 2 minutes. Approximately. Wow. I've done the research, it's 2 minutes. How many people can concurrently use that AI at the same time? Up to 1 billion. So we can have 1 billion people line up in front of their phone and they are asking the AI, there are different kind of symptoms, and that AI is able to solve every single one of them.
It's going to be a life changer for Africa, especially the rural areas. I'm telling you, if this is going to be a life changer. I even saw on a story that on one report that Kenya is using AI to predict diseases. I think they said it used AI to correctly predict the outbreak of cholera in one particular region of Kenya, and they were able to prevent that. And I also saw that Ghana has a chatbot. I think that chatbot is called NurseBot, something like that. That's helping the healthcare. That's helping nurses for healthcare in rural areas in Ghana. So these are already signs that things are happening, and the African countries are thinking about this, right? I don't know if every African country is actually thinking about this right now, but I believe that if Ghana is already trying that, and if Kenya is already trying that, and with the research that you are talking about here in the United States, they are going to obviously learn, and they are going to probably tap from there to build something that can help the rural population.
And this is my problem with the African nations, as I like to call them, the African states, because I don't even look at them as countries anymore. We sit on the best landmass on earth, the African continent. is big enough to feed the United States 5 times with leftovers. Okay? I was hoping, and I've been fighting, I've been at the forefront. I've been talking with many decision makers at the African Union, and I say, hey, we need a unified African platform for artificial intelligence. We don't need Ghana to do it. We don't need Kenya to do it. We don't need Swaziland to do it. We don't need South Africa to do it.
I saw a report. Sorry, I cut you off. I saw a report that was done by Smart Africa, which is a blueprint for AI in Africa. Have you seen that report?
Yes, I've gone through the report as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. It's solid.
Yes. And the problem I have here is Smart Africa came up with that wonderful report. If the African Union claims to be that body that unifies the African continent, well, maybe we're not ready to be unified politically. But what is stopping us to be unified technologically? What is stopping us to say we're going to create a curriculum for African kids in primary school, secondary school, and universities? By the time they get to the university, they must have this amount of knowledge in artificial intelligence. That has not been done. That has not been proposed. That has not gone anywhere. So you can see that, for example, if you look at this at countries like the United States, you look at Canada. The United States, it's 50 different states. Each of them working as a unit. They came up with their own AI curriculum and they're teaching their kids, right?
Another thing that people don't even understand is that these states have different laws. You know,
exactly.
They have different laws, but they still work together as a country. But they have really a lot of different laws.
If you look at the history, most states in the United States were French. They were bought from France. The United States paid money to buy Wisconsin. They paid money to buy states like North Dakota. It wasn't part of the United States. They bought these states. Washington State was also bought. So we as a people, going back to Africa, what is stopping us to come up and say, hey, okay, the African Union could literally just ask those who are experts in the field and say, propose to us what you think we should teach our kids when it comes to artificial intelligence. That has not been done. And so
the base is important. The base is important, to be honest.
Because of that,
if there's no base, I mean.
Absolutely. Because of that, 5 years down the line, guess what is going to happen? There will be billionaires coming up who have used AI to become billionaires in the United States. And 5 years, we'll have no billionaire in Africa. We'll have brain drain again of young Africans who could have sat in Africa and say, how can I use this platform created by the African Union to make agriculture better, to predict prices of food products, to be able to save products and store them without a refrigerator. All of these things, they won't know it, and then they will not have to migrate to the United States. We will repeat the same mistakes that our fathers made, and we will do the same mistake.
I hope they. I know that we're going to talk more about this, but I hope we don't repeat the same mistakes. I hope they listen. I hope they learn, and I hope we can do something that is better for Africa. But I wanted to also talk about more things, right? The reason I'm trying to bring this, you see, I'm trying to bring this all to a common man in the street. Like, I'm not trying to talk about these big banks and all these big companies that already have the funds and they're probably going to leverage AI because they have the capabilities to hire talent. But I wanted to talk I wanted to bring it really to home, to the pocket, where sometimes it hurts, to money, right? When you look at our people going to sell in their shops in the market, and you look at our financial institution, and I'm not talking about big banks, I'm talking about credit unions, because that's where those traders go and keep their money. That's who they relate to. The man sitting behind or the lady sitting behind the counter desk at the credit union. Those are the people that probably live close to in their neighborhood and they know them. So when somebody selling in the market, a trader, are we in a point where they can use AI to predict their sales? Are we at the point where they can use AI to gather data about their customers, or to input some data about their customers and how the trends are going, how the behavior of what their customers like, and be able to use that platform for AI to help them to be able to innovate their business, for AI to help them to be able to grow their business, to make more profit, and then to predict future sales and show them what other areas or what other products they can bring into their inventory, right? And also, if they are able to use this, are they able to use these tools, bring out a report that they can also take to those credit unions and show them and say, hey, this is the proposal that I have. This is my prediction. This is what I'm planning to do in the future. And these credit unions are able to accept this report and provide them funding to be able to help their businesses.
Absolutely. You hit the question perfectly. Number one, let's talk about the credit unions that you're talking about. We have micro credit unions scattered all over Africa. And these credit unions are financial institutions, that businesses, they also want to make profit. They will not give anybody a dime if that person cannot prove that they're going to make money. You won't go to a bank or a microfinance or a credit union and say, oh, my name is Bruno, I'm black like you, so give me money. No, it's not going to happen.
Yes.
They want to see the trail. How are you going to make that money back? And how sure are you to make that money back? And to do that, you need to write an excellent business plan. They need to see where the money is going to go into first. So if we give you 5 million CFA francs, where is that going to go to? How will that then contribute to you making more produce, which will then contribute to you selling for more money, which would then mean that you are able to pay us back with this amount of interest, because those financial institutions are looking for the interest. Now, without AI, this becomes difficult. But with artificial intelligence, you can literally go on an AI platform and say, hey, I am a farmer, I plant tomatoes, okay? Let's not go into the big maize and cocoa and coffee. Let's talk about the man planting tomatoes.
It's always tomatoes, it's always corn, and it's always beans. That's the main ones that they sell, no?
Absolutely. So you go on the AI, on an AI platform, and you type, hey, I'm a farmer in Cameroon, I'm living in so-and-so city, I plant tomatoes, and I harvest my tomatoes every X amount of days. I want you to tell me the best possible method or ways for me to get the highest return on my produce. And the AI spits out information. You won't make that money in your country. If you produce that tomatoes, Cameroon won't buy that. It will give you the reasons that too many tomatoes farmers, that this. But there is a restaurant in Seychelles, in Cape Verde, where tomatoes doesn't grow that well.
Because they don't have the climate.
Exactly. That particular restaurant is able to buy your tomatoes for 70 times the price of what someone will give you in Cameroon. Now, you use the same AI and say, okay, I understand what you're saying. Now, build an SMS system and send an SMS to people in Cape Verde telling them I'm producing this. And the AI become your automatic marketer. Automatically. The AI is your marketer. Now, you have identified the best thing that makes billionaires. What makes billionaires is not the intelligence. It is
of course.
The market. What makes billionaires is the market. You could be the brightest person. You could have the highest amount of tomatoes produced every month. But if you do not have the market, those tomatoes will get bad in front of your eyes. Okay, so now the AI starts sending SMSs to the people in Cape Verde. It starts sending them SMSs. Hey, good afternoon. We have a farmer in Cameroon looking for that. When that AI does that consecutively for a month or 2 months, someone reaches out and says, I want to buy all your tomatoes. Every single thing.
And that changes lives, right? That changes lives.
And this is the so-called AFTA we've been talking about, the African Free Trade Continent area for trade. So that person could get on a flight. They don't even need to get on a flight. There is DHL, okay? There is so many there's direct flight that can fly from Cameroon, take your produce, land it in Cape Verde, have that person send the money to your bank account, and you are gone. You are doing that. Now, with this, if you go to let's say you go to EcoBank, just an example, or let's say EcoBank is not even in your village. There's a small microfinance in the corner,
a credit union.
A credit union with 3 workers, okay? But what that credit union has is the ability to get you funds. You are asking for 5 million CFA francs. That credit union can give you that money. And you say, hey, don't be scared. Here's my list of customers. Here's a list of phone numbers who have received SMSs from me. Here is the man who wants to buy this amount tomorrow. All I need is to expand my farmland. And in order to expand my farmland, what I need from you is 2.5 million CFA francs, and I can pay that in 3, 6, 8, or 12 months. And you say,
I mean, you have provided a tangible evidence or tangible prospect of customers who are ready to buy your product. So you get a loan.
You just go to the AI and say, based on the person, based on this, based on what we've done so far, write me a business plan to present to my microfinance or credit union so that I can get a loan of 2.5. Make sure you add all the figures. Make sure you add income prediction. Make sure you add marketing. Make sure you add this. And in less than 3 minutes, this is something that we used to pay. Our parents did not even know they could do this. Those who knew how to pay. You
had to pay somebody that, and especially our parents that did not, because let's be honest, a lot of these farmers, we're talking here about, when people hear us talking about farmers, they may think that we're talking about farmers who are mechanized farming or that, but that's not it. We're talking about a household of a father and a mother, or just 2 parents and their kids and working. That's who we are talking about here. It's not like a huge mechanized farming.
And here's the funny thing.
You know?
Here's the funny thing. I have to tell you the most funny thing today. The funny thing is, there are some things called AI agents.
Yeah.
The new upgrade, the new thing that came up with artificial intelligence is called AI agent.
Agentic AI. Yeah.
Okay. You go and you say, okay, agent number 1, you're my sales manager. In fact, no, agent number 1, you are my SMS sales manager. Your job, you wake up in the morning, you look at all the phone numbers that I've signed up so that I don't fall into the spam act, and you send them SMSs based on their response. Agent number 2, you are my phone call agent. If that person does not reply to my SMS or does not read it, place a call. AI can do that. Third one, you are my website developer. Go and start building me a website. You let the AI go. This other one, you're my weather forecast.
So wait. So when you say this now, are you telling these people now that if there is somebody in the market now that owns a bakery, and he has his customers that always come and pick up their orders in the morning, let's say for a cafeteria, they want to come and pick up bread and all that, they can have these agents now that in the morning they can basically send you a message to their customer and say, hey, your order is done. Come at this time. Hey, your own order is done. You have to come at the agents can do that. He doesn't need to put up calls. The agents just automatically does that for them. They don't need to hire any other store helpers or bakery, anybody.
No, you don't need any helper in your store anymore. Okay. And this is what I think we're going to talk about about the jobs, taking out professionals. Yeah. Is AI actually taking our jobs? That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is you can have AI agents who are specifically doing specific things, and because they're doing specific things, they do it really well. Now, let's go back to that farmer. Okay? Let me go back to that farmer for 1 minute and give you an idea. You put a camera, a simple camera. The cameras you can buy from China for 10,000 CFA francs, for 5,000 CFA francs. You put that camera and you point it towards the farm. And you build an agent. And you say, hey, agent, your job is to look at this camera 24/7. Your job is just to look at this camera. If you notice that these tomatoes are starting to get ripe, they are not ripe yet, but you can see from the camera that in 1 week they're going to get ripe. Send that information to the SMS agent. The SMS agent, your job is when you receive that information, is to tell my client that in 2 weeks, tomatoes will be ready. You send them that SMS. The agent says, okay, I've heard you, and does that. You go to another agent and say, If those people do not open those SMSs, which means there's no read receipt, make a call. So before your tomatoes get ripe, buyers are on the line. Buyers are standing.
That's advanced, that's help. That's progress. That's promoting the business. That's putting the business in another level.
Instead, you know what our fathers are doing, our parents are doing right now? They wait for the tomato to be ripe. Then they pluck it off. They put it in baskets. They wait for a truck. Then they put it in that truck. And it drives all the way to Douala. By the time it gets to Douala, it's been pressed. Oh, this one is bad, I will not buy it. This one is bad, I will buy it. And then instead of making 200,000 from your sales, you are coming home with 25,000.
75,000 even.
Yes, you've lost too much. You understand? But with artificial intelligence, you say, okay, I'm not going to plug this. I'm not going to start selling this thing when it's not ripe. You don't know when it's going to be ripe. But AI can look at it, and because it knows how tomatoes look like when they're getting ripe, it says, hey, 2 weeks down the line, this is going to be ripe. And now you can talk to a guy in London. You can talk to a restaurant in London. You don't need to sell it in Douala. Now, let me give you a good example. You can go and Google this. I don't even need to think that you need to Google it. I think you've seen it. You go to Walmart, for example, in the United States of America. You pick up 4 tomatoes. 4. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you go to the counter to pay, it's not less than $10.
Imagine our farmers can get that money back in Africa.
That is
lives have changed.
That is 5,000 CFA francs.
Right, lives have changed
for 4 tomatoes. If you go to Tombel in the Republic of Cameroon, Southwest region, Tombel, where tomatoes is like a big deal. I lived in Tombel, in a rural area, in a CDC camp. 5,000 will give you half a bucket of tomatoes. And when I say half a bucket of tomatoes, I'm talking about the succulent, natural tomatoes, which are so ripe. And that person is selling for 5,000.
Even if you talk about transportation, you still get profit. There's no way around it.
And the farmer has no option, because guess what? Yeah. I could go and say, okay, this is 5,000 here. I have 3,000, which is like $8. Okay, even $7. And the person doesn't have an option. The option is to take it back home for it to get bad. But AI right now says, stop. Bruno wants to pay you 5,000 for half a bucket. I know a place where you could sell that half a bucket for $25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going here. Let's talk about. I know that we are running out of time, but let's talk about AI as it relates to education, right? When we're looking at education and AI, I'm thinking about when I did my final year project as a university student, and it took me about 3 months to be able to gather all the data that I need to write a report, to print it, to format it, to check grammar and all that. It's something now that you can do with AI for a matter of hours. So how do you think that AI can transform our educational system back in Africa?
Good. Interesting question. I'll tell you something we're building also. And we're building something. We're actually looking for people to join us on that because it's still in the process of building. We've not completed it. Artificial intelligence allows young children to fall in love with knowledge. It's the only tool I've seen that have made young people fall in love with knowledge. Before AI, students or children will go on YouTube, watch all kinds of videos, go on X-rated websites and watch certain things. But because AI can now talk, I've seen young people who are they use my phone. I have my own AI called Shiba. I I've seen young people interact with this AI and laugh with the AI and talk with the AI. I'm so happy to do that. So I think that AI is able to transform knowledge as it is. Because like you mentioned, gathering knowledge meant go and looking for information, going and looking for data. We did that in our time. I had to leave Boya and go to Douala because I was writing my thesis on air transport safety, geographic information, and air transport safety. I had to go to Douala. All right. Now, with artificial intelligence, you can sit at home and write that paper in a few moments. There are two things that are going to happen. The first thing, those who want to be smart and those who want to grow in knowledge will do so very fast, in the twinkle of an eye. The second thing, those who want to run away from the real work will find an easy way to do it. They will just whip up an AI and say, write this is my topic, write it, and it will write it. We've even seen people copying AI asking, what do you want me to do next? And posting it in their project.
Oh my goodness.
Get the
Oh
So-
Lord. So people they just copy they just copy and paste. They don't even edit to remove AI's prompts and everything that AI is asking them. And
Oh. And another thing you have to
Lord.
do is AI also hallucinates, okay?
Yeah.
AI
Yes,
hallucinates.
of course.
Okay? So it will give you errors sometimes. It will make
You have
errors.
to clean up.
You have to clean up. So those who want to actually get knowledge are going to read those things, make a better project for themselves, look for pictures and add those pictures. Those who don't want will be given marks that they don't know anything about. I have seen the force of AI has made certain university students can't even write a letter. They can't write a good letter. They will make all kinds of errors in those letters. Meanwhile, in our time, you are in class 6 in the primary school, you are writing a letter to your grandparents,
Of
you know,
course.
and reading the replies. But now that is going out the window. But the truth of the matter is, AI is here to stay. Okay,
So another thing that I was thinking about it, right? Like you said, AI is here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. I was also thinking about it this morning, and I was like, I think AI is going to do away with physical libraries, because I know it's been going away with the internet anyway. So what more when AI is here? How are physical libraries going to? Who is going to? Especially with this generation, these guys
Amazon.
don't have the patience to
Amazon.
go and sit somewhere and read a book. Look for an
Amazon.
encyclopedia
Yeah.
and sit.
Jeff Bezos is a billionaire today because that's what he was solving, and there was no AI. He took books and said, "Let me put the books online." That was the whole idea of Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos didn't create Amazon of what it is today. It was an online library, and that made him a billionaire. That was even before AI was invented. All right.
So
Now-
think about it now.
Now imagine AI is here. Who's going to be reading and reading what? Now let me give you a good example. I tell people I read a book every day. I read one book every day. And they say, "Oh no, it's not possible. How can you read a book in one day? Are you okay?"
If you
No.
read a book in one day, you're gonna finish the Bible in 2 days because it's
Yeah,
big.
I read a book every day. Now, let me show you. If you go to your iPhone and you go to books, okay, this is a book I'm currently reading. Never Eat Alone. It is basically 20 minutes of an entire book, not reading but listening. Someone has
Audio
given
books.
AI. They've given the book to an AI, and this is a good thing now. They give the book to an AI, and the AI says, "Oh, let me look at this book," and it removes all the jargons of "oh, I was playing," all the examples. It removes all those things you don't need, and just read that fine print. What you actually need to extract from that book, it reads it to you in 20 minutes. And
That-
with this, who is going to go to the library?
Yeah. Who is going to sit in the physical library for 3 hours, 5 hours, looking for a book from all the shelves and then come and sit down and, "Oh, can I take this home? I need to borrow." I remember we used to go to the library with there was a white card and there was a red one. I think
Yes.
the red one, you borrow the book and take it home. The white card, you just get into the library, sit and read the book. But I don't think anyone is doing that right now. And I also want, before we go to the challenges, because I want us to talk about the challenges. Yeah. But before we go there was one thing that I asked you, which it might be funny, but Africa is very religious. Are prophets going to use AI to do prophecy?
They are already using it. they are already using it. I think that Africa as a religious continent, very religious continent, like you said, has been captivated, has been taken hostage by so-called men of God. I'm not against religion. I'm not against any other person. But I think from what I've seen with how some pastors are using artificial intelligence, there was one video I made, and I discovered that if I keep going that trend, I'm going to make a lot of people lose their faith. And I don't want to be somebody who makes people lose their faith. Many men of God came at one point and talked about miracle money. I can talk to you and then there's money appear in your account. And people came online and could show that they received a confirmation from their bank that they have money. I went online and I said, this is called flashing. It's possible to do that with Python, with 21 line of Python code. And that is me. That is Bruno doing that. Imagine an AI sit on that and you just type to an AI and say, hey, I have people coming to my church. This is their phone numbers. This is probably their bank account. I don't know their bank account numbers, but here's their phone numbers. Here's their name. On so and so time.
This is what they like. They have explained this problem to me. This is the problems that they have. This is how they want to see the future. This is how their kids behave. This is this. Can you predict to me how their future, what this will look like for them in 3 years?
AI can do that. And here's the funny thing. Here's the thing. I have seen pastors or prophets. I'm not going to name anybody, but I've seen prophets put in the invisible headbutt. This little headbutt, earbuds are almost invisible. Mm-hmm. And while they're talking to you, someone is feeding them information. There's a whole documentary on that, on a pastor or prophet in the US who was caught doing that, him and his wife. You can Google it and find out. And African men of God have started doing the same thing. So you can see where this is going.
And when we talk about this, it's not that we're saying that everyone is doing that. There are some people that are just out there to just mess up the whole thing and mess up the people's faith and just put a bad reputation to other pastors who are doing a great job in their communities and all that, which is not really good, Yeah. Let's keep going here and let's talk about some of the challenges. For all these good things that we have spoken about AI, everything that we have spoken about, they are challenges and they are things that the AI requires. I know that you have started highlighting on them before, but I want us to really talk about these things. You spoke about electricity, right? You spoke a little bit about electricity and how AI requires a huge amount of electricity. Africa, there are countries in Africa that cannot even electrify a city. Electricity is on and off. Power comes today and it doesn't come in 3 days. People see power today, they're using solar panels or they're using generators and all that in order to do business. So how are they going to be able to get power to build AI infrastructure?
That is going to be a very crazy move. And I'm going to tell you certain things. AI itself, before our interview, I asked an AI question. I said, looking at the world, let me feed you a map of the world at night. And I want you to tell me what is wrong. AI pointed out to me, everywhere in the world seems to be light up, except Africa. Okay.
Are you calling Africa a dark continent? That's what AI said.
You could do that right now. Go to maps.google. No, go to google.com or images.google.com and say the world at night.
And Africa is not lit up at all. Africa is dark.
You're going to see that the world at night has North America light up, part of South America in Brazil light up. You're going to see Europe completely light up, India light up, Asia, China and the rest light up, Australia light up, and Africa is completely in the dark, except part of Nigeria, part of Egypt, and South Africa. Completely in the dark.
That's a big problem, right? Because we're talking about it. So we don't have the power to be able to build AI infrastructures.
I think we don't have the will, because here's the funny thing, and I'm going to give you the funny thing. The part that is not light up has the highest potential for hydroelectricity power. Now, I want you to listen to that again. The part that is not light up, which is Africa, has the highest potential for hydroelectricity power and solar power. No place on this planet receives more sunlight than the African continent.
So is that the failure of our governments?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the failure of our government, it's the failure of the African Union, it's the failure of our ancestors, it's the failure of our parents, and it's going to be our failure. We are going to carry that baton up, and we will fail if we don't change.
So we don't want to fail in this, right? Because if we fail, I am afraid that we might become, again, a consumer of technology. And we are already a consumer of many technologies. It's not going to be good if we become a consumer of AI and we don't build anything when it comes to AI.
We were the creators. We are the original creators of technology. Africa created technology. We have surpassed human imagination in technology. We built the pyramids, and we can't still figure out how we do it. The world cannot figure out how Africans built the pyramids. Now, when we lost our technology, we have not gone back. And I used to give this quote. A few people sat on a table, not up to 13, and divided the African continent. It has taken 54 people more than 60 years, and they can't bring it back together. Now, this is where I'm driving to. When it comes to power, AI has prerequisites. AI needs a lot of power. AI needs a high amount of bandwidth, both of which Africa is struggling with.
Yeah, I was going to talk about internet as well, right? And when you're talking about bandwidth, the internet infrastructure is not even, students themselves are struggling with getting regular internet or fast-speed internet to study. Talk less of AI infrastructure that requires huge amount of or a lot of high-speed internet to be able to function. And I know that I'm just going to put this together for you so that you can work on this together. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the data centers.
Right.
We have the potential to build huge data centers, but AI depends on data, right? And we have been talking about healthcare and being able to predict diseases and being able to predict treatment for our people, to give them adequate healthcare, to give them adequate diagnosis, be able to treat our crops and give adequate pesticides and to put on the crops and when to plant and when not to plant as well. But all this is from data that the AI has been given. The AI is not going to be able to give you anything without the data. But right now, the data that we're working on is not much from Africa.
You've brought up a very important point, and there's a book that was written by a young lady. I've forgotten the name just now, but I'm going to give you what it said. It says that technology, including AI, is racist. And this is not in a bad way. AI has been trained on data that is not coming from Africa. Most of the data that AI has been trained on is not African. And we have not built our own data center to say, hey, wait a minute, let's give you our own data so that you can understand us. For example, if I pick up my phone and I want to talk to an AI, most of them don't recognize my accent. I am African, I have a different accent because I speak a different language originally than English.
Yes.
Okay? So it doesn't understand my accent. It doesn't understand my enunciations. It doesn't understand my mental breakdown. So the way a white guy born in America or born in Europe is going to benefit from AI, it surpasses me already just by those benchmarks, surpasses my usefulness of artificial intelligence. So if that guy is making 90% usefulness of AI because he speaks like the AI understands him better, his pronunciation, his enunciation, his mentality, his environment mostly aligns with that AI. Guess what? Bruno is not using 90%. Bruno is somewhere around 60%. And that is Bruno who is eating, sleeping, drinking technology. Now imagine that farmer we talked about in his tomato farm, who does not even have the kind of pronunciation, the kind of enunciation that we do, most of which doesn't even speak English. Maybe the guy is speaking pidgin. AI is like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I can't help you. So because most AI models have not been trained with African data, we cannot benefit fully from this new technology. And this new technology is going to change the world. It's already doing that. And guess what our leaders are doing? They're attending meetings in Europe. They're going for wonderful meetings, flying on jets. It's all good to do that. But as a people, where are we in the next 5 to 10 years? How many billionaires will be born in Africa because they use artificial intelligence? How many?
Yeah, it's really worrying, right? And because when I was talking to you about this issue of data, it really concerns me in the fact that if you take an AI system that was trained with the data from the United States or from Japan or Europe, and now it's diagnosing diseases based on the lifestyle of people that live in the United States, that it was trained.
Or in Japan.
Or in Japan. And then you take it and let it predict the disease and the treatment. Let's say that you can get the disease right, but the treatment would not mirror the treatment for someone that lives in Africa, and even of a particular locality, region in Africa should be different from that person that lives in the United States, because their lifestyles are different.
It won't even get the disease right most of the time, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Malaria is African. Let's put it like that.
Yes.
Now, the genotype and the resistance of our white blood cells against malaria is powerful. It's more powerful than any other group of people in the world. So, if you do not train artificial intelligence on the data of Africans in Africa reacting to malaria typhoid, which is basically one of the diseases we all got when we were young, the malaria and typhoid. If
you mean multiple times.
Exactly. If you do not train it on that particular data, at the end of the day, it uses generic information. Okay? And in the field of medicine, while generic information might be good, in the field of medicine, it's not the best. It's like being on a plane and you are a pilot and the AI says, to learn generally, you have to do this. Because the conditions are different. The wind speed, the elevation, the pitch, all of that has to go in there for us to have the precise landing. So it's like that in the medical field. You can't just wake up and say, oh, I understand that you have malaria and typhoid, but where are the other data? How do you react to this before? What drug did you take before that actually worked? What drug did you take that actually did not work? What has been documented to be working for people of your specific area? The Congo Basin is different the people from the Congo Basin are going to react to malaria differently from the people in the Sahel, from the people in the arid areas like in Algeria. It's all going to be different. So because we don't have this data, and you brought it down, the data centers are not there. And it's not because we cannot build these data centers. If somebody tells me, oh, there's a country with 15 ministers all getting paid, but we can't build a data center. A country with a whole military, we've bought guns to arm them up, we need to protect our borders, we need to do that, and you can't build one data center?
No, maybe you're talking about the military. Let's say that the military is protecting us. How much do we pay our footballers when they go play for the African nation? I mean, let's not talk about it. Oh, okay, let's not talk. Let's keep going. Let's keep going here. I think that money could be used to help people in need. I mean, to do things that will help the general population. But let's keep going here.
You know, one thing I'm going to point out, and this is one of the biggest things that Africa needs to relook at it and use AI to look at it. It takes a huge amount of money to train one African from childhood all the way to university. It takes a lot of money. The African government spends a lot of money for you to get your bachelor's. Let's assume you end at the level of bachelor's. The African government, where you grow up, have allow you to evade taxes. You don't pay taxes when you go to school. They allow you to do that. They've subsidized your university tuition, which is also happening in our country, Cameroon. They subsidize your feeding at the university, which happens in Cameroon. So when you get and you graduate from the university, you are supposed to pay back that money to the government by getting a job and start paying your taxes. But guess what happens? That person has been trained, has been molded into this beautiful thing, and they're like, oh, you can go to London, you can go to America, you can go to Europe. We don't want you here. Go somewhere else.
so our talent and our skillful one are being exported.
These are
we still have talented people and skillful young talent back home, but at the end of the day, a lot of them that are back home, they don't even have a place or an avenue to express their talent. And that's another thing.
That is actually not a problem of the person that moved. That is because the person that moved needs a future for themselves and they can't find it. Yeah. And so I think that if African governments can leverage artificial intelligence to say, okay, and there's some countries that are doing that. Rwanda is building an entire city for AI enthusiasts, for tech people. Can you imagine a country sits down and say, hey, we understand that people come to Kigali to look for work. Let's build another city for people who only want technology. Everybody there will be a tech guy. Botswana,
Silicon Valley.
Exactly. Botswana is doing the same thing. And guess what? 5 years down the road, you see an economy like Rwanda booming, and you're asking yourself, aren't these the people that were crying in 1994?
Rwanda's been doing good with tech for some time. I think they are a very, very good example for all African countries to look at, to be honest. And I wanted also to, before we end, because we are a long way gone here, before we end, I wanted us to talk about two things. We don't go almost 119. Yeah. Well, okay, before we go, let's talk about two things here. I wanted to talk about this thing of education, right? How is AI a disadvantage to students right now, or is it really an advantage?
AI is a tool. AI is not an advantage, it's not a disadvantage, it's a tool. AI is like a knife in your kitchen. You could use that knife, slice tomatoes, have a wonderful meal and enjoy. Or you could use that knife and go on the street and start stabbing people. It's a tool. If you are a student and you want to use AI to have those shortcuts, write that project without actually grabbing the knowledge, it's possible. Down the line, you're going to suffer. If you want to use that tool and write that project with that tool, but read it, but understand it, but investigate it, but question it, and become better mentally, good. AI doesn't have that
So
advantage.
what you are basically saying is that they can use it for good, they can use it and learn and still put the hard work and be able to learn, as well as they can also decide to use it and become lazy and don't learn anything and just go to school and just get a certificate without anything in the certificate.
Absolutely.
Which is true, right? But I also wanted to ask you on this one quick. You know our African government and you know our politicians, how they work.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the issue of ethics, the ethical use of AI, and also are these politicians or are our government officials or even companies, are they going to use AI to marginalize on some of the demographic or population? Are they going to use it to discriminate on where social services should be localized or where they should implement certain things within the continent or within the country?
Absolutely. Like I make mention, AI is a tool, and just like any other tools, politicians have used it for good and for bad. Take, for example, internet. It's a tool. In 2017, our government decided to say, hey, you know what, English speakers, no internet for you for 90 days. It happened. It's a tool. So African governments could leverage the power of artificial intelligence. You could feed the map of a country into AI and say, take a look at this map and tell me where to build all the universities. Take a look at this map and tell me where to put petrol stations. Okay? Take a look at this map and tell me the easiest way to build the shortest roads. I want to live from A to B, but I want you to tell me how should the road look like to minimize time of building, to minimize expenses. AI is able to do that for you. Take a look at this map.
But then when it says that maybe let's say a government official or a person in power would say, oh, it doesn't pass through my locality, it doesn't pass through my constituent, I want it to go the other way around.
And that's a problem where we have. And I think that I have an example of a company that, the CEO is actually an AI because it's impartial. I'm thinking we should build a commission where the AI is...
Wait, you mean the CEO of a company is an AI?
Yes, there's a company where the CEO is an AI. And it works 24/7, doesn't sleep, doesn't take flights. Yeah.
It doesn't take a business class to somewhere.
Doesn't take business class, doesn't take flights, attends meetings, take notes of the meetings, make decisions for the entire company. Right? And I'm thinking that we should...
Now that you're saying this, wait. Tell me about the jobs. Are we going to lose our jobs?
Yeah, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. For example, if you're a driver in a company, your job is already at stake. Semi-trucks are coming from Tesla. These are trucks that can drive themselves for days. We're talking about long-distance driving for days. You as a human driver, you're going to drive for 8 hours and start sleeping. You need to rest. And AI can drive from...
Let's say that our countries in Africa or our companies cannot yet afford this not the cyber truck, but these Tesla trucks and all these automated cars, right? What are some of the jobs in Africa that you're thinking that they're going away soon?
I can think of 1,000 of them. I'm going to give you some few. Number one, I see in Africa, jobs like teaching will reduce. It's already happening in China, where teachers...
So when teaching reduces, let me ask this, because I want us to help them. What do you think those teachers can do to prepare for this type of scenario?
Two things happen, my brother. Two things happen when a new technology comes into the playing field. There are those who move with the change, and there are those who get crushed and left behind. My mother is a perfect example. My mother was one of the best typists, which were called typists, they're now secretaries. In Nigeria. She had a typing machine. The computer came in, she did not migrate. She didn't say, oh, wait a minute, let me go to the thing. She remained with her typewriting and she got fired and has never had a job after that.
She did not install Mavis Bacon. She did not install Mavis Bacon on her computer. She refused to do that.
In China, there is what is known as a remote tutoring, and it's coming with a huge power. We have discovered that one teacher can be in 20 schools at the same time. All you need is a teacher at home with a good internet connection, and he can teach 20 schools at the same time. So why would you want to hire 20 teachers at 20 schools who cannot be related to? It's not going to happen. That's the first one that's going to go away. Number two, a lot of mechanics are going to lose their jobs. Okay? And I'm going to explain.
So AI is going to be able to predict what is wrong with the car and give you a solution, and you can just go and buy the part and come and swap it.
Yes. Let me show you. Let me explain that. Right now, my company, OnSat, is able to predict the fault of the vehicle, when the fault will make the vehicle stop working, and it's able to do that with an AI. Wow. And even if the fault happens, it's able to tell you exactly how to fix it. So it tells you, open the hood, look here, change this. That's mechanics going off the table. And I can tell you that by 2030, these things will start happening. In 4 years, we'll start seeing these things.
So what you are saying now is that if you are someone that is trying to learn how to become a car repairer or a car mechanic, you need to start incorporating the skills of how to diagnose using an AI, and how AI can help you facilitate your job so that you can get up to speed with the technology and not just lose your job entirely.
That's not what I'm saying.
Because some people are not handy. Because there are some people that will. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there are certain jobs where you can do that, but there are others that you cannot do that. For example, mechanic. Even if you are the best mechanic using the best AI, you are still having the same knowledge like the car owner. So my car can't drive. My AI says, "Oh, don't worry. I know it's the spark plugs. What do you want me to do? Oh, order them for me. Oh, they have been ordered. They'll arrive tomorrow. Why am I going to a mechanic?"
So you don't even need the mechanic to say, "Okay, I know what is wrong. Just come and change it for me." You just do it by yourself and save money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why will I go to a mechanic after that? Another thing is cleaners, people who clean homes and offices. By 2030, they'll be out of business. There are AI robot cleaners now that you buy that are very small. You buy for about, I think it's 25,000 CFA francs if you convert that. And you just put them there, you plug them in, you don't need to tell them anything. And every 24 hours a day, they wake up and they clean the entire office. They clean that and they go put themselves back on charge. Why would I need a cleaner?
So in terms of, we have spoken about, I for this one is really sensitive, and I want us to be able to tell people what they can do. Not only that they may lose their jobs, but what can they realistically be looking at that AI can help them do in terms of the job market?
I will say this, and I will say this directly into the camera, as if I'm talking to the person directly. The world has moved on. You better follow. You better follow. Yes, there's a lot of fufu and ero. There's a lot of achu to eat. There's a lot of drinks. You better, but the world is going. Now, the world is not actually going. It's gone. Because if you actually look at it, and you compare our lives when we were born, we are the 80s generation. Compare it with the 90s generation and the 2000s. There are things that the 2000s cannot fathom that we did. They cannot even understand that our televisions had backs. Like, you tell a child, our televisions in the 90s had a long back, and they can't understand, why were you putting that back? What was in there? You can see people sitting on their phone. A phone has more entertainment than any other thing. The screen is color. When we grew up, we didn't have color screens. So these little things we think we're taking for granted.
Black and white.
You see these little things that we now take for granted. There are things that this generation cannot fathom. So imagine, you just mentioned that you were in the universities a couple of years back and your project had to be handwritten, typed, and printed. A child today won't understand why you went where you went to do research. Why were you doing research? There's Google. What were you doing? They can't conceive it. And because of this, your job is at stake. And because your job is at stake, there's only one thing I can tell anybody who has a job at stake. You better pivot. Don't say, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this for 20 years. I can't move from this. You better pivot. I'm even talking about military people might be out of business. If you're a military guy, you might be out of business.
Depending on your discipline in the military.
Exactly. They are now
you may not be needed anymore.
They are now building AI robots that can go to war. Yeah. That is the left. That's what we're talking about. We have companies being run by CEOs who are AIs. Yeah. So if you think it's your business acumen that's going to make you a billionaire or a millionaire, I'm sorry, it's changing. It's changing.
Wow. Yeah. I before we end, right, I have one question for you. This is the hardest quiz of the day. Yeah. ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot?
ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot? Okay, yeah. Interesting question. Gemini.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Good. All right.
Why Gemini? It already has access to all your information that you're using on Gmail. It's 100% free. It's never going to charge you, unlike ChatGPT. It's not going to charge you. It has Nano Banana inbuilt. It has so many tools inbuilt. Another thing is, we don't need graphic designers anymore. There's even the Google AI Studio, which have a lot of other AIs, not only the Gemini. So, well, if you're not making use of it, all right.
I must testify that Gemini is really good with graphics. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for coming today. We really appreciate you coming. It was really an interesting conversation. I wish you can come back some other time so that we can have more. I think this conversation, we can keep it going for like 4 hours, but I mean, we have to keep it short. But I hope you can come back again and we can talk more about this. But we really appreciate you coming today.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of this important conversation. If you find this conversation to have added value to you, please make sure that you subscribe, and you have to turn the notification button so that when we upload new videos, you can also be notified. And until then, we'll see you in another next episode of SecureAfric. Bye.